Assalamu alaikum and welcome to another Suhoor Bite, episode 21 already. It's hard to believe that it's 3 weeks of Ramadan, but it is 3 weeks of Ramadan. It's starting to get a little harsher on me now. Like I'm definitely noticing that my body's a little low on energy and reserves, but we're coming up on that final week, so just a little bit more. I have a special guest for you today. Again, this time, my dear friend Lee Hammoud, a technical game designer slash indie developer working on their own game, but also doing things with other studios, which is kind of weird, but really cool. Basically, a bunch of game dev stuff is how Lee described himself. Lee, welcome.
Hey everyone. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Like I said, Ramadan is getting to me. We're recording this a little before my iftar time, so I'm
Hmm.
pretty low on energy, and I'm just pouring all of my remaining energy into this this hosting right now.
Fair enough. I bet you're thinking about those burritos.
Yes, yes, I ordered some burritos, and I'm excited to eat them. Um,
Nice.
yeah, it's been a good Ramadan for me, though. I will say
That's awesome.
it's been a good time.
Hmm.
How are you?
I'm doing great. Not too bad. uh,
Not too bad is good.
yeah, going along and just riding the wave, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good way to be, especially like it's been a long few years. I think being in a place where you're
100%.
just kind of riding the wave and feeling pretty good about things is actually a kind of a blessing right now.
Yeah, like that high sort of high optimism after bit of an interesting few years, to say the
Right?
least. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
No, it's absolutely true. I don't know. Has these past 2 years, has COVID sort of been hard for you, or just
It's been a bit weird with COVID because it started out as I was very obsessed about, okay, we need to keep the COVID protocols. We need to be very, very careful. And then
right?
until we started getting vaccinated, I started feeling a bit relaxed, especially like
Right.
because both of my parents were sort of like they were on the higher risk groups from
No.
COVID. So I was like, oh no, we
Hmm.
gotta take this very, very seriously.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm so glad it went by with way less worse than I imagined at the time. So, well, at least
Alhamdulillah.
to my
Alhamdulillah.
to my appearance, but I
Yeah.
guess worldwide still.
Yeah, it's been a rough time for a lot of people. I mean, I was the same. My parents are also both in like the risk category, so I did the exact same thing, right? Extra careful
Hmm.
all the time because she just it's not worth risking it.
Mm. Mm.
Um, but I think a lot of people are sort of coming out of COVID with this sense of new purpose or sense of determination to make the best out of their time now that the world feels a little less dangerous.
I guess so. I guess so. It's a bit of a weird time because it feels like there's always uninterrupted chaos happening. If that makes sense as
Right.
well. Whether it's gonna be
Yeah.
as much as I don't want to bring this fear in this horror bites right now, but climate change for me is something that
Right.
it makes me panic every once in a while.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm laughing, but I'm not laughing internally.
No, yeah, no, but I know exactly what you mean. It's like it's one of those things that is so big that it's almost kind of like funny in a really scary way.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
But I'm glad your
Um,
parents went through the COVID safely and hopefully in the future as well.
Alhamdulillah. It's been just fortunate. I've been really fortunate. I've managed to avoid it, and even now
I'm
that I'm
glad.
traveling a bit again,
Yeah.
still managed to avoid it. So, um, that said, I mean,
Mm.
the world is changing a bit, and for me, honestly, doing Ramadan again and having it feel a little bit more social has been
Mhm.
really wonderful. Because I don't know, doing it entirely in isolation has been sort of rough on me. So, sort of
Right.
seeing friends again is great.
Yeah, that's true. Like because Ramadan, one of the key points about it, at least when I remember it or when I recall it, a lot of it is just gatherings and gatherings and gatherings, which is
Yeah,
some of the good stuff about it. And it's kind of surreal, like saying, oh hey, the past two Ramadans, the 60 days of them were very way less social than it ever used to
right.
be, right?
Yeah,
And the
for
whole
sure.
family, yeah.
I was talking to Tarja, who is a Finnish Muslim. She converted to Islam later in life, and she's
Mhm.
apparently just like the only Muslim that far up north in Finland.
Mm.
So she has never known Ramadan as like a communal event, and that was
Oh,
such a
okay.
fascinating conversation.
I see. I
Um,
see.
because it's hard to, especially if you grew up in the Arab world, like it just changes the world, whether you're fasting or not, whether you're
Mm.
Muslim or not. It just everything changes, right?
Right. Right.
The
Exactly.
lights come out, the day change.
You
It's
know,
kind of wonderful
the
in that
whole
regard.
routine changes, and
Yeah,
I'm very curious about doing it by yourself. Yeah.
it sounds hard. It sounds hard. I mean, I find it hard even with the sense of community behind me, but
Mm.
she's doing it like long days because north of Finland right now in summer it's
Right.
long
Right.
days. And she's doing it alone with her own recipes. She was talking to me about how she uses gingerbread
Mm.
as like a suhoor and iftar like bite, and I'm like, you know what? I don't think I've ever heard a Muslim say that.
How many hours do they fast in Finland? Because I know it's like
Like
till
subhanallah, it must be like 18 to 20 hours or something.
wow.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
I, and I know that there's like the exception that you can use Mecca times if it's too long or too short otherwise,
Oh
but
yeah, I know. Yeah.
yikes, that's a lot of hours.
It is. It is. Like I remember when I used to fast, at least in Lebanese time, it was like what 6 p.m., 7 p.m., and I was like, oh God, I can't take this anymore.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Especially
for
like
sure.
the winter ones. I love that about when I was growing up as a kid with Ramadan. It felt always like a different season, not a different season, but it always felt
Right.
like changing in terms of never a very fixed state. So that sort of changes across the years as you grow up with the memories that you build. Whether it's in the winter Ramadan or summer or spring, it had different interesting influences, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, no, when I was growing up, it was winter Ramadan. So it was always just like you wake up, you have normal breakfast, you go to school, you skip lunch, you have dinner the normal time, and it was great.
Oh, right, right.
Sometimes you even did iftar before you would normally have dinner,
I see.
just because the sun sets so early.
How was Ramadan while you were in school? They had to change a couple of things for us, at least when I was.
Y- y- Yeah, no, the Dutch schools obviously don't have a lot of space to change there. So there's
Mm,
lunch in the middle of the day, and and normally you would have to sit at the table where everybody was eating, just because they wanted all kids in the same place. But for
mm,
Ramadan, they made an exception.
I
So
see.
if you were Ramadan kids, you got to play on the Super Nintendo, which meant that Ramadan was one of my favorite times of the year.
Passing time so
Uh,
fast, yeah.
because otherwise, I would just eat my lunch real fast and go like, "Can I go now?" And then just run to the SNES and hope that I was the first one.
I see.
Um,
I see.
because if I wasn't, somebody else would be playing. And I would have to wait my turn,
Oh
which
no.
is the worst.
And now you have to start
That's
thinking about fasting.
yeah. So the Super Nintendo had Pilot Wings, which for me was like a big deal.
Mm,
So I wanted to play the airplane game.
I see.
Uh, so I guess that is like a childhood thing of mine, is video games and aviation. So I guess things worked
Nice.
out pretty well.
Yeah, hell yeah. I remember our school used to shorten the recess duration during Ramadan. I was like, isn't that
Oh,
counterproductive, right? And thinking about it right
yeah,
now, it's like, why would you do that?
right.
Because we had two recesses. I don't know what's the plural word of recess. I think it's just recess.
You know what? I actually have no idea.
Yeah,
What is the plural of recesses?
that is a very good
Recesses?
question.
These are my favorite kind of questions because you feel like you should know the answer,
Mm-hmm. But you
but then you
don't.
don't.
Yeah. And then you
Uh,
hesitate to Google it because you try to
right.
figure it out.
No, I just googled it. Do you want to know it?
I should it. Yeah.
All right, it is recesses.
Recesses. Oh, that is such an ugly word,
Recesses.
though.
It is the worst. It also
Recesses.
has just it's too many S sounds for
Mm.
one word.
It is. It is.
Recesses.
So, like, my tongue is not doing well
Yeah,
right now.
we're not built for this kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, shortening recesses. Yeah, that seems kind of like we had the same recess. I just spent more time on the Super Nintendo because I
Mm.
could play around while all the other kids were eating.
Did you all have like one big recess, or was it like?
Yeah, in the Netherlands they do one around noon,
Mm, I
and
see.
then on Wednesday that's actually when you go home. So Wednesday the day ends halfway through the day.
I see. I see. That sounds kind of more fun than what we used to have.
Because what was it over there? Like two times half an hour or
Yeah, it
something?
was a bit weird, like thinking about it. I would think it was like a 15-minute, two times, one for I think 11 a.m. if I remember, and then another is it's like at one. I don't know, I
Huh.
forgot. It's weird.
There's so much about just how education works that I find fascinating because it's so different everywhere.
Hmm.
And you always kind of feel like education just is the way it is because that works best.
It does.
And then you start talking to people around the world and you're like, "Oh my god, nobody agrees on what's best for the kids."
Yeah, yeah. That is
Everybody's just guessing.
just riding the wave.
Yep, we're just figuring it out as we go.
Yeah,
What's the worst that could happen?
yeah, pretty much. Um, uh, at least, like for us, they had to change so much stuff throughout the years, and especially in
Hmm.
Ramadan. Um, but yeah, that was just an interesting time to say the least.
Yeah. For me at school, they really tried to sort of adhere or to sort of not adhere, but to make the difference in religion from what was sort of the norm to make it smoother.
Mm-hmm.
So my dad was an immigrant to the Netherlands, and he was always very defensive of the cultural and religious identity of his children,
Mm.
right? Because it's really easy to just sort of like get absorbed into Dutch culture completely. And for him as an Egyptian, it would probably be a bit of a nightmare to see his culture sort of end with him,
Right, right.
right? So he always sort of pushed to make meaningful distinction where it was necessary, and he never really forced a religion on us or anything. He just taught us.
Mm.
Um, but one thing I will always remember is that my elementary school teacher. There's this holiday in the Netherlands called Sinterklaas, which is what Santa Claus was based on,
Mm-hmm.
and he would show up at the start of December, and then he would bring candy and he would bring gifts,
Right.
which is great because candy and gifts are great.
Oh, perfect.
Um, but the clothes he wears this red sort of like tall hat kind of thing. It's hard to explain it. I don't know how to translate the word for it, but he has sort of like a tall pointy hat
Mm.
that is red with a golden cross on it,
Okay.
right? A Christian cross because Saint Nicholas is based on Saint Nicholas, who was a holy man in Myra,
Mm-hmm.
I think, in modern day Turkey, if I'm not mistaken. Um, but my dad talked to my elementary school teacher and got permission to basically made sure that I was allowed to draw a moon onto the guy's hat,
Oh wow. Okay.
like just a crescent. And I always thought that was such a beautiful and elegant solution for
It
me
is.
to sort of integrate the two parts of my cultural identity.
Right. Right.
And I
Wow.
think that's when schools really are at their best, right?
Mm.
Teachers, because I think teaching is hard.
It is. It is.
Do,
Yeah. Wow.
do you teach?
My dad is an Arabic teacher. Well, yeah,
Really?
retired Arabic teacher, and it's very funny
Wow.
because I'm not exactly like I can obviously I grew up in Lebanon for so many years. I just recently left
Yeah.
it, and like I can talk Arabic, listen to Arabic, read Arabic, write in Arabic. But my level of Arabic compared to my dad, or at least compared to people my age, is not exactly good. So it's just very
Right.
funny, like how my dad, who actually taught me 1 year at school
Right. Oh
Arabic. Yeah,
wow.
that was a very funny year when he was teaching me. Um, so that wasn't
That's
yeah, it wasn't.
awkward conversation if your grades weren't good.
Oh yeah. Oh boy. I would be able to see from his face when he's correcting exams. Of course, I wasn't allowed to. I wasn't allowed to see what was going on there, but I just can tell
Oh
from the face.
no. Oh no. Wow.
Yeah,
That sounds terrifying.
it does, but it's also like when you have like 8 hours of classes, a lot of them are boring, and then there's that 1 hour that it sort of like spikes you or it stimulates your brain. It's like, what
Right.
what is dad gonna say next about me, right, in front of everyone?
Right. Right,
But
right.
always,
Yeah, I guess
yeah,
it'll wake you up for sure.
exactly. But always, it was always like it was fun. It was absolutely fun to just
I,
see my dad teach me and teach the
that
class.
yeah. I don't know. My dad was my soccer teacher for a while, and I always
Nice.
enjoyed that. But also, he didn't grade me, so that seems
I see.
less scary.
Yeah, but like, was he? Can I say, was he proud of how you were playing soccer?
I think so. He always. I had this thing where, so I was a sweeper, so I was in the defensive line, and I
Nice.
was always a defensive player, so I never scored goals. But I was pretty good as a sweeper and as
Mm.
a playmaker. But I would always get injured in like the last 15 minutes of the match, and my dad always was just like, "Okay, you got to stop doing this at some point, like just stop, stop running into people's feet in the last 10 minutes of the
We need
match."
to bring you back home in one piece.
Right. But yeah, I think he had fun. He also just really loves soccer.
Mm.
So.
Do you still play it?
I don't play anymore. I switched from soccer to badminton at some point in life through like six other sports, and I played badminton for another 6 years. But I played soccer for like a good 10 years of my
Mm.
life. You?
Yeah, no, I same here. Like I've played a lot of soccer. I still like play it from time to time.
Oh,
Not
nice.
exactly a fan of watching it, to be honest. It's a
Same.
bit too boring.
I mean, I have the Egyptian obligation of watching Salah play, but
Yeah,
then
right.
beyond that, I don't really watch soccer.
Yeah, yeah. But I can like I would I would used to play attacker, so or like
Hmm.
wingman. So I would probably be if we were playing together, I would be passing you a lot, or just I have a prone to slide a lot and not dive. I
Right.
wouldn't say dive, but not the kind of person who is physically strong enough to keep up with other players, or at least I
Right.
used to be like that. But
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, you wouldn't get past me, but you can try.
yeah.
This is a competition now. You know how this goes. We're gonna need to find a soccer ball next time
I
we run
am
into each
definitely
other.
gonna bring a ball with me then.
We're 100% in. Lee, it was a pleasure talking to you. If people want to follow you somewhere, where can they find you?
Yeah, you can follow me pretty much like I'm on any social media platform on Twitter at Lee Hammoud, whatever whatever you want to pronounce
Right.
it. I just post a lot of cool game dev stuff there, even though I've been not so active. But I'm pretty much also there on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Facebook. Even though I don't use Facebook a lot, but still there. But yeah, you can find
And
me there.
everywhere it's just Lee Hammoud, right?
Yeah, just right there. It's funny because I have figured out that there's only one Lee, the name of the first person Lee, and then the last name Hamoud in the entire
I,
world, because
I can imagine that. It's
yeah,
a pretty specific combination
and
there.
it's a very specific. It's a man-made combination. Well, technically, every
Uh,
name is a man-made combination,
Fair, fair.
but it's a
But still.
yeah, it's a conscious made good
Yeah. No, it's
combination.
super cool.
But
Lee Hammoud on Twitter and everything else. Shukran, thank you for being here.
thank
And
you, thank you for having me.
for everybody listening, salam.
See you, everyone.